Cryptoslo, cryptocurrency news and investing.
So crypto gains, what's going on, guys? So it's like beating a dead horse, and that is Elephant.Money. Numbers go up, baby. Numbers go up. So this is just beautiful. Breaking out of this resistance, absolutely beautiful as we truck along to all-time highs. So look at the tip of the iceberg. It's all the way up here. Woohoo, baby! So yeah, Elephant.Money absolutely killing it. As I always like to say, it's not too late. We haven't gone parabolic. Not financial advice, DYOR, but my bags are packed. On to other Elephant.Money news. Futures account, earn 0.5% a day on your BUSD, sitting around almost 3 mil. TVL participants 836, and I am at 75,818 on a 50K deposit. So I'm right on track. Let's see, been running 55 days. So my first big goal was my 90-day mark, which should put me around 100,000. But as I stated, ultimate goal is I don't want to take yield out of this product until we are parabolic. So going to continue to compound unless I absolutely need the money, and then I might take a little bit here and there. But based on what we're seeing in the treasuries, probably looking at 2 to 3 months. That is a probability based on Bertha, the treasury, gaining more tokens. It was over 120 trillion, and making its way. Parabola phase is like 150 to 2. So I'm estimating 2 to 3 months, which if I put that out 55 days, so at 120, it's 123, 150. So I'm hoping we break parabolic by day 150 to 200-ish, which would put me, let's see, put me around 200,000, which would be $1,000 a day, which is not bad. And again, my goal is to continue to build this. You know, it's not to do a bank run. It's to take yield where it's necessary. So I want this number to keep going up. So, you know, you got to have a claiming strategy at some point. Claiming every day will just deplete your capital, because your ultimate goal is to make it to a max account of $1 million, which is 5,000 a day. So that is trucking along nicely. And the importance of compounding, I mean, as I stated, I'm trying to compound every day. I'm off just a little bit. I have 35 compounds, so 75. Day 55, I'm about 2 or 3K off, but still on the averages, because I actually built my spreadsheet so that I can adjust. So like if I modify it to a 2-day compound, I can get new numbers, because it'll basically change this deposit. But again, the important part of this is simple interest versus compound interest, and it makes a massive deal in how fast you grow your account. But again, the strategy is not to hit autocomplete. The strategy is to compound into parabola. That is how the product works. So that's what I'm doing. Looking over at the futures, we did have 100K in here. Let's see. They're at 106, compounding nicely on an 88, 20 compounds. While it's still growing, overall, just looking good. Now, for the name of the video, HyperBitCoinization. So there is a thread going around that says Bitcoin's going to get to $1 million in 90 days. Is it possible? Yes. Is it probable? I would say no, because remember, in my other video, if you understood, the government is allowing banks to borrow against their bonds, basically creating infinite quantitative easing. So there will be more banks that are up on the blocks this upcoming week, and the program will likely be expanded to these other banks to keep them from failing. And you're also going to get consolidation of banks, where other banks are snatching up banks on a discount, leading to more centralization of our big banks. If you're not sleeping under a rock, you know there's about 4 or 5 big banks, and especially, Credit Suisse was up on the auction block, and I saw that UBS was talking about buying them. But yeah, but basically, HyperBitCoinization is that we have hyperinflation, and that the Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million all of a sudden. Let me say, if we have hyperinflation and Bitcoin goes to $1 million, I'd be more worried about the supply of ammo in your safe than I would be of a Bitcoin being worth $1 million. But that's just my opinion. On to ETH. Now, I have to say, this is, call it manipulation, call it what you want. There could be a pullback. I said we have some major resistances up in here, but ETH is looking like a full-on send, okay? You have a super strong crossover on the 1334. If we go to the weekly, you could wait a little longer for confirmation, but from my standpoint, if you look at the 34 and the 13 crossing, and they're both pointed up, this is the floor for a massive run on ETH, in my opinion, based on the TA. Now, I think that was part of the problem with this run, is that everyone's overlaying fractals and talking this and that. This is just basic averages, unless there is a Dawn mega candle. Now, the risk to this is that Shanghai upgrade. The Shanghai upgrade allows validators to remove their coins and sell. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people put their ETH in when it was like 100 or 200. So I would expect profit taking. That could be a pretty big red candle, and that's coming in April if it doesn't get delayed. And that's the other narrative that we talked about, the LSDs, the liquid staking derivatives, that some of those could be pretty big. I know I talked about, let's see, over here on CoinGecko, I think I had LSDs. I started building a list of these. We had Pendle, Bitfrost, Horde, and shared stake governance. I did like this shared stake governance because it mooned, on the Shanghai talk, and then it had a nice pullback. Let's see. So yeah, these people made out huge 0.0. This is like up 100x, 80x. So we had this run, and nice pullback. I'll probably pick up a little bit of these, but I'll cover these more in a future video. LSDs basically allow the people that get their ETH out of the validators and put them in a derivative contract where your ETH stays staked and you earn yield, but then you're allowed to take an M2 derivative, like with Lido, STETH, and then put that to use in other DeFi. Now, it's pretty risky to do that kind of stuff, because if the peg of the derivative loses peg, you could be in for problems. But anyways, on this, I'm picking up some ETH to have exposure to it, but I'll probably put a stop order on it, down, let's see, what are we sitting at? 1809. I'll probably put a stop order on it just in case it stops out or comes back down, because it is trading off of the line quite a bit, so it could pull back. So don't be surprised if this could drop back to 1700, but the momentum of this is looking super ultra juicy, in that ETH is probably going to run easily up into the 2,000-3,000s. But you can always have a stop out to stop, Like I said, I don't trade very often, but looking at this basic TA, this is looking pretty juicy to have some ETH exposure. On to the next one. Optimism Airdrop V2. I told you about this yesterday. Well, I shared it in some of my groups. The beauty of this is now you have to be careful on Twitter because people will tag you on fake airdrops. The best trick I've found to make sure you're getting back to the OG site is just simply go to CoinGecko, type in the coin name, and then use the website link here. Now that's not 100%, but I would say it's 99.99% of the time. It's a great cross check to make sure that you end up on the right website. But anyways, let's see here. So if you sold right after the drop, you really didn't make that much money, but it's almost tripled in price. It's at 274. So you might have a nice juicy bag waiting for you. Check my other video on that. As always, and yeah, Optimism airdrop number 2, kind of flying under the radar. Arbitrum drop is coming. I talked about that. I posted a video on that, and who knows. If you learned anything from this, and it's a solid blue chip, the advice, what I'm going to do, I'm probably going to hold mine longer because you could have this initial dump of people going for quick cash. Because that's the irony of the Optimism airdrop number 2 is a lot of people don't even know they have it. And then secondly, so there's not that pressure to sell. And a lot of people were staking their Optimism too. But Arbitrum airdrop coming up 3 days. Don't get scammed. As I always say, no refunds in crypto. On to ETH gas. ETH gas had a nice little dip down to 13. This is a trick on ultrasound money. If you left click and drag, you can zoom in on the gas chart so you can see. I'm hoping for a nice dip tonight. So with that being said, I went ahead and I used my layer strategy, like I told you, and I put 3 mints out there and I staggered them. I think I did, let's see, I did like 13, 12.5, and then 12. So remember, you always want to stagger from high gas to low gas. So hoping that tonight we get a nice little dip on gas. We'll see what happens. But again, the Zen chart. Oh boy, 69K liquidity is just pretty much just completely abolished. $7 million market cap, but I'm staying to my strategy, and that is I got a good solid bag of Centurions initially, and then I'm trying to mint a few each month. Looking at my Zen portfolio, I'm at 117 and I'm closing in on 1 billion coins. So not too bad, not too bad. 76K, 15K in ETH in. So earnings rate is still at 400%. Keep in mind, this could continue to drop and reach parity of 0. But the goal is to ladder those stakes so that if Zen is not profitable after 1 year, 2 years, it doesn't matter because you continue to stack those stakes, okay? And like I said, you're going to have the participation exhaustion, but you have to keep in mind you're trading time for time and money here, and you have to stick to a plan. Does that guarantee that Zen is going to take off at any given time? No, it doesn't. But, if you follow in the project, it's a fair launch, it's distributed, and then it won't take much after this starts to deflate after we get out of the hyperinflation stage. So yeah, so that's about it. That is the Sunday update. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Like, subscribe as always, and if you don't already follow me on Twitter at Bitcoinslo. And that's about it. So this is Cryptoslo. If you're not talking gains, then we're not talking.